Have you ever wondered why the more you chase after her, the more she seems to be running away like you're an overdue bill? Maybe you finally realized that persistence isn't working and decided to take a step back. And then comes the burning question, is she missing you? Or laughing with her friends while leaving you on red? Let me shatter your illusions right off the bat. If you think this is going to make her regret it, send you late-night texts, and beg for a second chance, I hate to break it to you, but you're living in a terrible romantic comedy. The situation is way deeper, my friend. And guess what? At the heart of it all is her ego. And let me tell you something about a woman's ego. It's an independent entity, stronger than her self-esteem, and more dangerous than a shared Wi-Fi password. When you stop chasing her, something shifts. But no, it's not her crying your absence in a sad playlist. It's about how she interprets it. For her, it's not just about what you did or didn't do, it's about the meaning behind it. And spoiler alert, silence is a strategy, yes, but only if you know how to play the game with surgical coldness. And honestly, I have my doubts. Today, I'm going to dissect this emotional circus for you. Let's explore what happens in her heart, and mainly her ego, when you ghost her. And it's not just longing that surfaces. There's confusion, insecurity, that mix of, why isn't he begging for me anymore? That can turn into desire. But only if you don't screw things up, which, let's be real, you probably will. But before we dive into this sea of self-sabotage, tell me something. Have you ever tried the, I'm going to disappear so she comes running trick? Did it work, or did you just become the guy she only remembers to laugh about? I want to know not because I care, but because if I'm going to roast you, I'd rather have solid reasons. Oh, and before we start, a quick note. This video is here because some kind soul liked and subscribed before you did. So do me a favor and return the gesture. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment with that classic, thanks, algorithm. It's the least you can do, right? After all, without this, YouTube thinks nobody needs this kind of reality check. Alright, enough beating around the bush. Let's get to what matters, or at least what will keep you entertained for a few minutes while you try to figure out if it's love or just a bruised ego. Number 1, the first impact. How come he doesn't want me anymore? The moment you stop playing the persistent puppy, her first reaction is that classic one of someone who's just had a bucket of cold water dumped on them. Surprise and confusion. What do you mean he disappeared? Wasn't he always available like public Wi-Fi? Yeah, sweetheart. Now you're not around anymore. And that short-circuits her ego, not her heart. Because, let's be real, her heart hadn't even entered the game yet. Your absence is a slap in the face to her pride, and not a gentle pat, but one that leaves a mark. She starts thinking, did he get tired? Does she have someone else? Am I not as amazing as I thought? This kind of doubt isn't just annoying. It's a ticking time bomb for her ego, and that, my friend, is pure gold for your strategy. Here's the interesting part. Even if she didn't care much about you before, simply disappearing changes the game. It's the classic case of nobody appreciates you while they have you, but once you're gone, she starts missing your persistence, not because she genuinely wants you, but because she wants the power of knowing she can have you. And here comes the cruel detail. Absence doesn't make noise. It whispers. Do you know what she whispers? Did he give up because he realized I'm not worth it? Did he move on? Is he with someone else, prettier and less patient with my games? These questions are the perfect soundtrack to mess with her head. And your absence is the composition. But, as any good strategist knows, the critical moment is here. Most guys can't handle it. They break the silence with that embarrassing message like, "Hey, stranger!" or "Just wanted to check in." Congrats. You've just reverted to being her emotional doormat. You know what she thinks when that happens. Oh great, he's back. How sweet. And the initial impact turns to dust. Want the secret to making this work? Hold your ground. Keep that silence like it's the last chocolate on the shelf. It's in that void that she starts to notice you, even if it's begrudgingly. Your absence isn't just a move, it's a punch to her ego. And the more she wonders why you disappeared, the more you occupy space in her mind. And, ironically, that's what makes her start to care. In short, don't ruin everything now. The first impact is the time to plant the seed of doubt. It will hurt not to respond, but remember, you're not here to be nice. You're here to flip the script. So, sit tight and wait. The confusion you caused is just the beginning of the show. Number 2, doubt sets in. Did I lose him? Ah, my friend, now we're entering the phase where the game gets really interesting. After the first impact, that initial shock of how come he vanished, comes the corrosive doubt. Yes, this is the stage where she starts wondering, did I lose him? And trust me, if you played your cards right, this question will hammer in her head like a catchy tune she can't get out of her mind. Until yesterday, you were her emotional lamp, always on, always there, without anyone else paying much attention. Now you've turned into a total blackout, and her ego, this insatiable little monster, doesn't know how to handle it. The doubt that arises isn't just uncomfortable, it's an existential crisis. Did he get tired? Did he move on? Am I not as irresistible as I thought? And this is where things get really good. Her ego starts battling with logic. On one hand, she thinks you should be desperate, begging for attention. On the other, your disappearance starts to seem intriguing. Because the human ego, and hers in particular, loves to chase what it can't have. So what happens? Curiosity. And her curiosity isn't that of someone opening a book to learn something new. It's more like the FBI digging into your life. She starts stalking you. Your social media becomes a reality show she watches in secret. Every story, every like, every post of yours, she's there, trying to decode subliminal messages you didn't even know you were sending. Oh, and don't be fooled. She notices everything. Even that random like on someone's post you barely know. Every detail becomes a clue in the case of, why isn't he crawling back anymore? But curiosity alone isn't enough. Soon it turns into restlessness. Because silence isn't just annoying, it screams. It shouts questions like, is he seeing someone else? Is he happy without me? Did he realize he can do better? And this kind of thinking starts to eat away at her ego, and in the process, poke at a heart that, until then, was colder than a freezer. Now comes the cherry on top. When doubt starts to dominate her, she might begin to show signs of life. Small, subtle ones. A like on an old photo here, a hey stranger there, or even a more direct, how are you? Not because she's genuinely interested in you, but because her ego desperately needs to regain control. It's a move to reassert power, not necessarily to rekindle anything real. Here's the golden tip. Don't bite the bait. Those crumbs she throws are to pull you back onto her board where she calls the shots. If you give in now, congratulations. You've just restarted the cycle and become predictable again. So, resist. Let doubt do the dirty work for you. Because while she gets lost in, did he lose me or did I lose him? You're gaining ground. And the best part, she still thinks she's in control. How should you act? Simple. Don't be a doormat. First rule, don't give in. No matter how tempting it is, don't throw away all the hard work of silence just to respond with a pathetic, hey, how's it going? If you give that in, all the power you built disappears faster than dignity in a seen but not replied message. The move is to be active but unattainable. Live your real life, or at least make it look like you are. Post a gym pic. Cool. Hanging out with friends. Perfect. An unexpected trip. Excellent. Just don't fall into the trap of seeming forced. Like that guy who posts random motivational quotes so she thinks you've turned into the new Buddha. Nobody falls for that trick. The secret here is authentic moderation. Do things that show you're busy and happy, but don't turn your life into a telenovela to get attention. Why? Because authenticity disarms. If she realizes you're trying to get her attention, the spell turns against the caster, and the game ends before it even begins. Remember, Doubt is a slow poison. And that's exactly what you want. Every second she spends wondering if you're happy without her, regretting something, or if you've simply moved on, is another second you're occupying her mind. That's pure gold. But beware, eternal silence isn't strategy, it's surrender. If you go overboard and disappear forever, she might just accept that she lost you and move on. Doubt has an expiration date, my friend. So don't be the idiot who confuses strategy with amateurism. And if you're finally tired of being the predictable guy, her plan B for when she's bored, it's time to rethink your life and your approach. Stop being the too nice, too easy guy and start being the enigma she can't ignore. Want to learn how to truly flip the script? Go ahead. Download the digital book in the description and start applying strategies that work. No more being an emotional doormat. Change starts now and it starts with you, or you continue being her backup plan. The choice is yours. Number 3, the danger. When she decides to move on. Welcome to the danger zone, where the game can turn for good but not in your favor. Here, overdoing the silence can be the final nail in the coffin of your strategy. Because while doubt is a powerful ally, disinterest is a death sentence. And if she decides you're no longer worth the effort, my friend, your show is over. Let's break it down. Her ego has already been shaken. She stalked your social media, rehearsed some messages, and maybe even dropped a few hints. But if you ignore all of that for too long, she's going to start thinking, why am I wasting my time? Humans are driven by reciprocity, even if it's minimal. When she feels your silence has turned into total abandonment, her ego does what any well-trained ego does. It defends itself. And how? By deleting you from her emotional memory like you're a spam email. At this point, nothing you do matters. When a woman decides to move on, she does it with the surgical precision of someone who no longer wants to be bothered. She rewrites the narrative in her head, turning you from a mysterious intrigue into a mistake she's already corrected. And reversing that decision is as easy as freezing hell. How to avoid this catastrophe? The secret is simple: balance. It's not about disappearing like you've entered a witness protection program, but about maintaining a strategic presence. You want her to miss you without ever being sure she's completely lost you. Here are some practical tips to avoid becoming the ghost she forgot. Respond slowly, but don't ignore everything. If she sends you a message, wait a bit before replying, but do respond. Nothing too warm, just casual. Something like, "Oh, hey, just saw this. All good?" This keeps the doubt alive and prevents her from concluding you're emotionally dead. Show subtle signs of life. An occasional post, a light presence, but not over the top. Don't post a photo with the caption, "Living my best life," while holding a glass of wine in Paris. Lying, of course. Be subtle and natural. Reappear strategically. If you feel she's genuinely moving on, a casual approach can reignite the spark of doubt. A silly comment on a photo, a message like, "Saw this and thought of you." Nothing that spills the game, but enough to show you're still around. What you should never do: apologize for the silence. This only confirms you were manipulating the situation, and nobody likes feeling played. Show desperation. Sending a string of messages like, "Why aren't you replying? Are you okay?" just turns you into the cliché she was trying to forget. Force a quick reconnection. No. We need to talk out of the blue. It sounds more desperate than strategic. In summary, silence is a powerful weapon, but it's also a double-edged sword. Use it with surgical precision. Disappearing completely only works in bad romance movies. In real life, the key is to be present enough to be a memory, and absent enough to be a desire. And the best indicator you're playing it right? When she starts making moves to win you back. At that point, the board is yours, and you choose the plays. So, what does a woman feel when you stop chasing her? First, she gets a hit to her ego. That basic shock. How come he's not after me anymore? Then she enters the phase of existential doubt, wondering if she lost something incredible, made a mistake, or worse, if you're already out there happy and well accompanied. But beware, if you overdo the silence, she might simply decide you're a turned page before you even realize what happened. The secret: balance. Silence is powerful, but it needs to be used with the precision of a surgeon, not with the subtlety of a rhino in a crystal shop. It's about creating a contrast, showing that the attention she received wasn't a given right, but a privilege, just without disappearing like a magician in the middle of the stage. Here are the 3 golden rules you need to ingrain in your mind. Absence creates value. When you stop being there all the time like a desk calendar, she finally notices the space you filled, and believe me, the void screams. Doubt is a temporary ally. It works for a while, but it has an expiration date. Prolong it too much, and you stop being the unanswered question and become the who even. The trick is balanced presence. Don't vanish like you're running from debts, but make it clear your life goes on smoothly with or without her. And now, a bonus tip for you trying to flip the script. Don't be driven by emotions. Strategic silence isn't for playing games, manipulating, or punishing. It's to redefine the rules of the relationship. You're not here to be an emotional doormat, but you also can't be the drama king trying to teach a lesson. Now tell me, have you ever tried this approach? Was it a success or just a big disaster? I want to hear the stories, the good, the bad, and the embarrassing. Comment below, because after all, who doesn't love a good tale of emotional battles? Oh, and don't forget to do your part. Like, subscribe, and send this video to a friend who needs to stop chasing someone who couldn't care less. Here, we keep it real, and we teach you how to come out on top. Until next time.